Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation today. We got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about how the president has officially come out and said that the pandemic is over. Well, sort of. We'll break it down with from the comments the president has made. Also, folks, let's talk about children's choice. Do you have a conversation with your children about debating over what they're going to eat for dinner, what they're going to eat for lunch? We'll have that discussion and the impact of that. Also, I want to talk about the Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival that's going to be starting this week. We'll have that conversation, a whole lot more. So stay with us. It's all happening on the culture here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Am I back? All right, folks. We're having just a little technical difficulties, but look, let's jump into the conversation. First, hey, Keenan, give me my opening, man. I want to make sure we got our opening strong. So let's get started here on the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Is it me? Come out to it.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in
All right, folks, welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Folks, we got a lot to talk about, so I want to jump right into the conversation. First and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to the online culture crew checking in today. Thank y'all so much for checking in, as always, being prepared to get ready to join us for these conversations. And of course, we want you to know that your support for us here at the Black Star Network is absolutely pivotal. Make sure y'all check us out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com, where you can continue to support Black media like never before. As you can see, a whole bunch of new shows, a whole bunch of things are happening. We're always streaming new content. And you can check out the latest conversation that Brother Roland had with Sherry Shepherd as she talks about her new show. So you can check out all of that and that fantastic Stacey Abrams interview right there at blackstarnetwork.com. We definitely appreciate you for your support. All right, let's jump right into it as we want to talk about what the president has said on a 60-minute interview that aired yesterday, where he has officially declared that the COVID-19 pandemic is over. Yes, folks, this is what the president has said. The pandemic is over. I'm going to just share with you very quickly. And Keenan, let's throw this on the screen, bro. It's not a long statement. The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over. Wow. Now, it was also shared, folks, that as the president has made that announcement saying that the pandemic was over, there are a number of organizations across the country and medical organizations, as well as the World Health Organization, that is saying that, you know what, even though we're kind of moving past this point, there's still a number of people in this country and across the globe that have been affected by COVID-19. So we wanted to at least put temper what the president said. But the president's sentiment falls in line with other global leaders from around the world who are saying that their countries as well are moving past the pandemic. All right, I want to get your thoughts on this, and I want to bring in our culture crew member, Jules P., as well. Jules P., who is a hip-hop artist. He's an activist, and I want to hear what you got to say. So, folks, make sure y'all post your comments on our YouTube as well as our Facebook page for the conversation. But let's bring Jules in very quickly. Jules, thank you so much for checking in, bro. How you feeling this afternoon? Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
I hear you now. What's going on, bro?
Cool. Cool. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm here, baby. Let's get this conversation going. I'm here.
Hey, I see you got your. I was like, what's that? A Raven shirt? You got that Raven shirt on?
In Lamar, we trust. But listen, even in the loss, he still performed at the $300 million level.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the game, Jules.
Hey, I do, because
I don't want to talk about the game, brother. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart, bro. But let's talk about what the president has said. All right, the president has said that the pandemic is over. What's your take on this, Jules?
So I feel like that was a confusing, conflicting statement as it was so short. So the reason, like I say that, is he says the pandemic is over. Then it's like, well, sort of, because it's still COVID out here, but the pandemic is over. It's like, what? Like, all right, I'm lost. Like, all right, is the pandemic over or is it not? So my perspective, I work at a hospital, so COVID is not over. So ladies and gentlemen, for the ones who are still wondering, based off presidential information, COVID and the pandemic is now. I feel like the major part of the pandemic, when it first had its height, is over. That part I agree with. The height of the pandemic is over, which such the mass spread of COVID during that time of 2019, 2020, and 2021. I do feel like that part is over, but I still feel like there's lingering effects of the disease still around. You still can catch COVID. Still practice your 6 feet distance when possible. I mean, of course, now, a lot of people have taken down their mask mandates. I mean, I think the only place that has a mask mandate is the hospital, truth be told. So, when I go out to restaurants, when I go out to grocery stores, when you go out to malls, there's no longer a mask mandate. So I think the mask mandate being lifted is trying to put people at ease about the pandemic being gone. But I feel like the actual height of the pandemic is gone. I still feel like COVID-19 is still prevalent. It's like the flu. I mean, it can be, can spread up anytime. It still can be spread amongst people. I mean, of course, we went from COVID to monkeypox, and monkeypox just seemed to fade away out of nowhere. So, it's just like, those type of things that's being said in those statements. I think that, it's the height is what he's referring to. It's just, again, it's poorly worded when he said it. It's like, you can't just say it's over. And then I think, but maybe kind of sort of like, no, it's just say the height of the pandemic is over, but we're still dealing with COVID-19 as well.
All right. Well, I want to get some comments from folks. So folks, look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's get your comments on what the president has said around about the pandemic. Do you think that the pandemic is over, or do you agree with Jules in the sense that, we're still in it? We're still living with it. Unfortunately, a million Americans have died from it. What are your thoughts around it? Make sure you hit us up on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page, and let's continue to have the conversation. We'll take a quick pause. When we come back, more conversation about the president, about COVID, and much more. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, y'all, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Had to make some changes because of some technical difficulties, but we wanted to make sure that you have a strong viewing experience here on The Culture. So, folks, I appreciate the patience with us as we are going through our tech issues. Now, we were just having a conversation. I have my Culture crew member, Jules P., hip-hop artist, activist, and advocate, who is joining me today to talk about a number of issues. And we wanted to just throw it out there that the president has officially said the pandemic is over. Sort of. Maybe. I mean, it's getting there. The end is in sight. Do you think it's premature for the president to make such a statement and assertion, even though we're still seeing hundreds of cases of people who are actually dying from COVID, even though there are a million people that have already died from COVID, even though there are medical professionals, the World Health Organizations are saying, yes, sort of, we're kind of seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Do you think that this was the best message to put out there? Make sure y'all you post your comments on our YouTube and Facebook pages, and let's hear what you got to say. Let's bring Jules back into the conversation on this. Jules, you said that it was a poorly worded message. It throws everything off. It's confusing. Yeah. And I mean, the president, we know he has a tendency to say things that are kind of off script. This President Joe Biden. But given the fact that people kind of want this thing to be over, do you think that people are going to look at this as a gaffe, or they're going to say, you know what, the president is on mark with this one?
I think both, because if you remember during the height of the pandemic, there were so many people fighting against wearing masks. And I'm like, that was like the biggest draw. I mean, it was like so many rallies outside of schools, outside of malls, and places where people were really mad they had to wear a mask. So I think that people hearing him say this, those people from that previous time are like, duh, about time. And then us more reserved folks who look at things, holistically outside looking in, it's like, like I said, just bad choice of wording. Like, you could say it better. You can just say, the height is over, but, COVID still exists. Because, I mean, he did try to clean it up at the end, but you starting off so straight. It's like you started off with a headline statement to get the headlines going, to get everybody talking, but then you try to clean it up at the end with your confusion by saying, oh, but yeah, COVID's still around, still be safe, still be, still be cautious. Like, it's like you kind of, be level set, like just, hey, this is what it is. Our numbers have dropped over the last 2 years. Right. And, still wear your mask in times applicable. Still practice social distancing. If you haven't got your booster, I encourage you to get your booster. It's ways you can say things that can clean it up instead of just doing a headline grabber and just saying, oh, the pandemic's over.
Well, I mean, it does grab people's attention, Jules. I mean, if the president said the pandemic is over, guess what people are going to start to believe? The pandemic is over. Let's go to our online culture crew. Folks are checking in and sharing their thoughts. All right, Janelle, let's hear what you said. You said the CDC has changed its reporting metrics, and many states like Florida had already stopped updating their stats. Investigative journalists are having to pull data from hospital sources. Wow. That's true. The CDC has certainly changed its metrics, and I want to share with you what the CDC, the World Health Organization, has been saying about this whole situation. But I think that you're absolutely right. I don't think it's going to be hard pressed for you to find the data. But let's keep this real, folks. And Jules, you can certainly share your thoughts on this. Like, why we get so wrapped up in data as if we're not experiencing this situation, right? We people be like, well, I want to see the data. Like, how many people actually died? Like, people have died. Okay, the people have died. We know that some states, they pushing, mask here, mask wearing everywhere. Like here in California, I see people wear masks. Some people don't. Some people do. You know what I'm saying? It's like a personal choice. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, use the best of intelligence.
Right.
Use the best of intelligence. So I hear you. And the CDC is going to always, kind of come up. According to them, things will change daily. So they might say one thing one day and then another thing the next day. That's the nature of the whole public health situation that we find ourselves in. So I don't know, Jules, if that's going to really open up the conversation for it, but we will have to see. Janelle, thank you so much. Good to hear from you, sis. Colby Durden. Colby sound like a brand new viewer. Thank you so much for checking in. You said the end is not in sight when you have new variants circulating. Yeah, that sounds pretty logical and reasonable to me too, Colby. But Colby, you also said the president never talks about long COVID, right? Yep, that is very true. And he said no one talks about post-infection heart attacks, strokes, and pulmonary embolisms. Saying the pandemic is over is gaslighting just to pander for votes. Wow.
Ooh,
that's tough, Colby. That's tough. But you know what? To your point, I think to your credit, I have been reading stories about long COVID. I have been reading a lot of stories. There are a lot of people in this country that are suffering from long COVID right now, Jules. You know what I'm saying? That are seeing the effects of COVID over the long term. And
my point.
I think that's a great point. That is a great point. I mean, here's something else, and I know some of y'all remember my conversation with Brother Roland on his show about COVID. Why we aren't talking about the impact of the vaccines on people at this point?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We need to talk about that, because if you get in. That's the first vaccine, the booster shots. Now, if you might be getting the flu shots, you might be getting the monkeypox vaccine. You don't think that's going to affect your body, folks? Come on. Jules, what's your take on what Colby said?
So I agree. You know what the crazy part is? We don't take in consideration either. And I think it's ignorance as us is, all right, so say for instance, you caught COVID within the last 2 years or 2 or 3 years. I also think about long-term effects. How is that going to affect your health 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line? Because we never understood what the cause was, where it derived from, what the effects can be, because you're just basing off of the short-term pandemic that happened. So everybody reacted to when the actual pandemic was going on. What about us long-term 5 years from now? So if somebody caught it in actual 2019, how are they going to be in 2024 or 2029? Like, what effects from that? Then on the flip side, like you just said, us, they got the vaccines. People that took the first vaccine, the second vaccine, the boosters, us putting that into our bodies. What's the effects that I'm going to have after I put those things into my body in 5 years, in 10 years? Is this something that's going to like affect my health later on in life? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. And it's like, that's the important conversation that we need to have. And I'm like, I don't want to wait till 10 years to figure out that I'm suffering from something internal due to a vaccine or due to a sickness when it could have been, explained or, figured out in that time when it was actually going on. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Ming Lee, Natasha Serge, you checked in, Ming Lee. Good to hear from you. You say they saying it's over, but asking everyone to take the new booster shots at the same time. I think that goes back to what Ming Lee, that's what Jules was saying. Should be saying, hey, the height of the pandemic is over, but we want you to still do A, B, and C.
Right.
Instead of just making it a broad generalization. So that's a great point, Ming Lee. Thank you so much for checking in. Deborah, good to hear from you, sis. You said they need to speculate that they need not to speculate that the pandemic is over. It really doesn't matter because the president said it or not. I'm still taking precaution with it. Facts. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. And one of the things, I mean, look, given the fact that, let's see, this was 2022, so we're 2.5 years into this whole thing?
Yep.
Like, I'm not going to beat him up too bad or say, I mean, I think that he should temper his statements with saying, hey, we seem to be out of the woods for most, for all intents and purposes. But I'm not going to beat him up because it'd be one thing if he said that, I don't know, a year ago. Can you imagine like a year ago, a year and a half ago, he would have said, all right, guys, the pandemic is over. You'd be like, what? Dude, you're way off course. But based on public sentiment, here's what I'm saying, folks, and we got to keep this real. Based on public sentiment, how many of y'all really believe like you're not even really worried about COVID? I'm talking about when you going through, when you're moving around, do you wear your mask as much? Let's just keep it real. If you had COVID, are you really afraid to get COVID again? You know what I'm saying? Like we got to look at that part of it too, Jules. You know what I mean? That a lot of folks, myself included, we had COVID. You're moving around, you feel. You're not thinking. Yes, you're aware that this is still happening. You're still sanitizing, you're still wearing your mask as necessary, and all of those things. But it's not as much on your mind like it was a year and a half ago, a year ago.
Right.
And I always and I'm going to ask the question, folks. I'm just asking this question: how long should we expect people to be on like high alert for COVID? Now, Jules, you work in a hospital. What do you hear people saying in your workplace? How long should people stay on high alert for COVID?
I feel like you should, so we discussed this a lot because I think that like I even stated, the hospital is the only place that you're still required to wear a mask because they're not taking any precautions. So you don't want to get anybody coming into our hospital, walking around freely, no mask, because you never know where it can come from. I mean, it's different variants of COVID that people have. We also had to deal with other type of regular diseases in the world. Before COVID, you still have regular illnesses and diseases. So you don't want to mesh the two. So you don't want to have somebody who's dealing with already a disease or sickness or illness, and then all of a sudden there's somebody that's a COVID patient that comes in, and then that effect of COVID then speeds up their life process to the other person. So you just got to take precaution. Like that's the only way to do it. Like I feel like is a lot of times I like to say common sense, but we all know common sense isn't common. So what I use as my mentality is when I'm out and about, I don't like people in my personal space anyway. So even before the pandemic, like I was like I hate to break it to the world. Before the pandemic, I was pro 6 feet anyway. Like you wasn't in my space. I don't do that whole being around people thing. When I go into like grocery stores, I'll carry a mask, but I won't wear it because I'm so spaced out from somebody. But if I'm reaching for the box of Frosted Flakes and then somebody comes right over top of me, all right, hey, back, like, come on, chill. Like this is like, you're not respecting my personal space. It's not even having nothing to do with COVID. It's just that the whole personal space thing that I agree with is like, hey, keep your distances from people, and that also kills the spread of things. I mean, they used to tell you it was about touch, then they tell you it's about airborne, and they tell you it could be transferred from. Like it was so many different variables you would hear back to back to back, and it's just like we didn't know, so you just had to take a precaution. Like you didn't know where it came from or how it spread. We didn't know, so you just got to take your own precaution.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go back to the comments, folks. Checking in. Janelle, you said trouble is coming. Telling folks to use their best intelligence is just like folks declaring I've done my own research and then setting up a GoFundMe to pay for the funeral. Ooh. I don't know, Janelle. I don't. Let me just share with you what I've learned about human nature, and you tell me if you agree with this, not Janelle and Jules and others. Human nature says that if you feel like your life is threatened, you're going to be you're going to take greater precautions, you're going to take greater protection, you're going to be on high alert, right? Mm-hmm. But being in a state of high alert is not a realistic place to be. It's not sustainable. It's like you're not going to always be in a place where you're just like constantly like, all right, I must just stay. Now we mask up, we do what necessary, but the level of high alertness is not going to be the same. Right. It's just not realistic. That's unexpected. And with all of and I'm saying using best of intelligence based upon with all of this information that we know now, 2.5, almost 3 years after COVID, go and not do your own research. Go to the spaces that are legitimate sources. If you don't trust the CDC, then go to a medical institution that you trust or that you believe is putting out good information, right? Like it's not about just doing your own research, because if you don't know how to deal with COVID now in terms of distancing, sanitizing, because it ain't just about the vaccines and the boosters. It ain't just about that. It's really come down. COVID is about personal responsibility as much as it's about collective responsibility. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about thinking about other people, right? And human nature doesn't allow us to constantly always be like, oh my gosh. It just doesn't. I just don't see it that way. I just don't see it that way. I don't think people are going to constantly be in this state of high alert, always thinking the worst. You know what I mean? And I could be wrong. But if people don't listen, if you're a type of person, for example, Juice, that you don't listen to the CDC, who is supposed to be the premier voice of reason and guidance during this whole pandemic. If you don't trust the CDC, if you don't trust what the White House says, if you don't trust what John Hopkins says, if you don't trust, you know what I mean, like all of these other sources that we have shown on this platform, if you don't trust your doctor, what's the other recourse? What do you tell people to do then? But people, I think it's important, and I think this is important, and y'all can tell me whether I'm off on this or not, folks. But I think it's important that people feel empowered to have control over their personal health, just as much as you're asking people to have power over the health and well-being of other people. Like, people got to feel empowered about their health. And I think if nothing else about COVID, we can glean from this lesson that people need to take their personal health seriously, because their personal health affects the collective health.
How about that? So
it's nothing else. I mean, like, if nothing else, bro, if you come out of COVID and you don't see how we're all kind of interconnected in our daily interactions with people and how we can get each other sick, now, I don't know what to tell you.
That's what I think is I think that's the 100% spot on. Your personal health is what you control. Your personal hygiene is what you control. So if you take care of that part, then everything else outside of that falls in place where it may, but you're protecting yourself. I give people the example all the time. Before COVID, and this might go too far, but it is what it is. We see people go into public restrooms and come out without washing their hands.
Bro, I see it today.
And that's the point. That's what I was about to say. So I'm like, and you would have thought that during the height of the pandemic and the after effects that people would have taken hygiene more seriously. But even to this day, I see it. And I see it in places that I shouldn't see it, where people are coming right out and don't even wash their hands, still to this day. So it's like your personal hygiene is what you have to take control of. That stops the spread. You can't worry about what everybody else does. You just protect yourself, because that's all it is at the end. Protect yourself and move accordingly. That's the only way.
Yeah, absolutely. Nisa, you put out this, Nisa 1971. Nisa, good to hear from you. You said, I think people are fatigued and want to get back to normal. People are not concerned because many subscribe to the "you gotta die from something" mantra. They want to have everything their way. Well, I think people are fatigued, to agree with you on that point, Nisa. But I think the other part about the "you gotta die from something," no, I don't think that. I think that has always been kind of like the big point. If you don't get vaccinated, you'll die. You don't get this booster, you'll die. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't wash your hands, you'll die. It's like this old, fire and brimstone style of teaching on public health. And it comes out of fear. And if y'all, and I'm look, I get it, trust and believe, because people have actually died from this thing. So I'm not diminishing this at all. I'm just saying, why don't we have a conversation that empowers people to take more care of themselves and to see the value of taking care of themselves as it relates to other people, versus just jumping into an approach that's fear-oriented and fear-based? We just automatically go to a place of, well, y'all gonna do what you want to do, but I ain't trying to die. And it's like, who wants to die? I mean, seriously, like reasonable people, right? We're all reasonable thinking people. We're not trying to set ourselves up to die, but we are asking questions. You're wondering how this is going to go. Would this unfold? The public health institutions say one thing one day, then something else the next day. Like, we're just trying to get a better understanding, but it's about giving people a chance to feel empowered about this.
Right.
I'm gonna share something with y'all later this week, God willing, man. I came across this piece, Jules, and it broke my heart. And folks, I'm just letting y'all know, this is a sneak peek. There is the New York Times just did this piece. It came out yesterday, where they found out that the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has a program where pharmaceutical companies, take a listen to this, y'all. Pharmaceutical companies would pay what they call a user fee to pay the FDA as part of a program where once they make that payment on the FDA, they have these closed door meetings, negotiations about their products, the pharmaceutical products. And the FDA fast track these products, fast track these medicines, quote unquote, fast track these pills. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because we're seeing a major government institution like the Food and Drug Administration, who is supposed to be regulating, who is supposed to be working in the interest of the public health interest, is having backdoor deals where they're reaping millions and billions, literally billions of dollars for this food, for their drug division, folks. And take a look at the New York Times. I'm gonna bring it up, God willing, this week. Their drug division, they found that the pharmaceutical companies have financed 3/4 or 75% of the FDA's user fee program. So you mean to tell me this is like a street racket? You mean to tell me the institution that we supposed to believe, that we supposed to put our trust in, is having backdoor deals and conversations with pharmaceuticals who give them the money to fast track the medicine to give to us when we are sick? And you know how much money is involved, Jules?
Billions.
3 billion.
Billions. Oh no. Oh yeah, billions.
I'm gonna have a conversation. We got to talk about. We got to talk about how wicked stuff is in this country. Even though we want to, even though they tell us it's for public health, even though they put some good name on it, they put some, oh my gosh, this is for the betterment of the citizens, this is for democracy and all of those. But behind closed doors, it's about greed, it's about money. It ain't about no saving lives and all of those things.
Right.
And that's what I'm only bringing this up, folks, is that because we got to be, we should ask questions. We should ask questions. We should make sure that what we put into our bodies is actually as best as we can. As best as we can. We can't research every little ingredient, but as best as we can, we have an understanding of the medicines that we use. We have a better understanding of the foods that we eat. I mean, man, we in a time where our lives are just commodities in a system that don't give a damn.
Right.
Jules, what's your take, bro? I know it's a lot. I know that's a lot, but we're going to get into it, God willing, this week. I wanted to throw it out there because this all plays into creating a culture where fear is used to get the masses of people to think a certain way. It creates that culture. Go ahead, bro.
So it's short and sweet. You ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Sounds like the feds are putting the wrong people in front of these RICO charges. You do the same thing with medicine and pharmaceutical companies as well. Okay.
It's deep. Once you start to learn the inner workings, once you start to read about how our government works or how these companies work or how it gets deep, man.
Because you're killing
and
masses.
It's heartbreaking because so many of us, real quick, Jules, so many of us, we want to put hope into the institutions of our country because that's natural, right? We are citizens of this country. We are part of this country. And you want to believe why is it crazy that a citizen wants to believe it's government?
Right.
That's not crazy. That's natural. What's crazy is when the government is waging war with its own citizens for financial gain. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's a whole nother deep conversation.
You see what I'm saying? And so when we look at COVID, which is a legitimate public health crisis, and how it turned into this other thing, when you look at that, bro, it's sad. It's absolutely sad. And we all, and this is me included, we all have to try to figure out, is the government telling me the truth? Or are they lying to me because they got their other ulterior motives? And that's a hell of a place for a citizen to be in its relationship with its own government. That's not good. That's not good. So even in this little statement, the president said the pandemic is over. Look at how many of us now are saying, well, he ain't telling the truth. And that don't sound right. Dang. We got a major problem in this country. Public trust in our government institutions and leadership officials is at an all-time low. And so when a situation comes up, like a major situation like this, like COVID or something else, the unfortunate part is that some of us may not even be able to gain, may not even be able to get through the dark moments. Because why? We've been lied to for so many times that, I mean, even if somebody from the government tells you the truth, you still won't believe it. I mean, that's how I'm seeing it right now, bro. And that's sad. That's sad. You got the final word, Jules. Anything else you want to share?
I mean, but that's 100% facts. That's the point that, and I see that's where most of the people that are commenting, on the show are talking about too. And I agree with that. It's like when your government is lying to you, not presenting you with the right, correct information, you're going to the different sources to get the information about the medical, the pharmaceuticals, and things like that, and you're still not getting the truth. Then how am I going to trust taking a vaccine? How am I going to trust taking a booster? How am I going to trust the words you're saying of, oh, this is really a pandemic, or this is detrimental to the American people? Like, how am I going to trust your words when I can't even trust the medical analysis that you're giving us to back up the information to make sure that we're healthy and protected on a regular basis, even with regular medication? Like, I mean, we all know that. I feel like medication is one of those big businesses that's the reason they keep people sick, to keep the pharmaceutical companies booming, so they can keep on subscribing you prescriptions. Like, it's just a whole big cluster, and that's what I do agree with a lot of the commenters are talking about. I mean, that's spot on the head. But again, like you said, that's a whole nother conversation, because that's more in depth. I got more in depth to say about it, but that's
bro. Absolutely. All right, folks, look. We will see if the president is going to walk back his comments about this or not, or if he just goes full speed ahead. But it's interesting that he put it out there. We didn't talk about, Jules, the fact that he put it out there just a few weeks before this midterm election. So he tried. Maybe again, public health is put in a politicized space because people wanted to see COVID over, and so he's like, "Oh, COVID is over." Now, he might be looking at some of the data and saying, yeah, we hospitalizations are down, deaths are down, and those metrics. But you could say the pandemic is over at the end of the year. That would be a better point, right? A better time. But no, he's doing it just before the election. So again, you still got to question. Again, look, we still got to even question. We got to question, like, okay, are you saying it because it's really over? Or are you saying it because the midterm elections are approaching in November? And that's crazy. That's the crazy part. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's have a conversation. I want to talk about a major film festival that's going to be coming down to Morehouse College, the Human Rights Film Festival. We're going to be checking in with Chromatic Black and folks from the great institution of Morehouse to talk to us about this film festival. Let me share this. We need to have a discussion at least about why having these type of film festivals are powerful, especially at a time where we're starting to see more and more content coming out about the history of Black people, i.e. the Woman King. Woo! Saw that this weekend. That joint is fire. So we're gonna have that conversation, and then later, can we talk about Whitney Houston? I'm gonna share with you the new first look trailer of her new biopic that's planning to drop as well. So we got a lot to talk about. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being with us today. Folks, make sure y'all continue to show your support for us here at the Black Star Network. Go to our website right now. Check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. If you haven't had a chance to download the app, if you haven't had a chance to stream the content that we have, man, oh man, you don't want to miss any word. You don't want to miss one video, nothing. Make sure that you continue to support us financially, continue to share the content, and let people know that we are rocking and rolling. Black Star Network is rocking. This is Black-owned media like never before, and we need your support. So make sure y'all do that. Also, if you haven't had a chance, you can follow me on all of my social media platforms, always looking for new people to connect with. So you can follow me on Twitter at Farajii, Farajii. You can also follow me on my IG page at The Real Farajii. You can find me on Facebook at Farajii Muhammad. Love to connect with you. So many of you have already started reaching out to me, so I appreciate it. You know, I do follow you. Just if I'm following you, just don't have no bunch of bobo on your page. Just, and you know, have like real pictures of yourself. Because I looked through it, I was like, this looks weird. Bunch of memes all over the place and sayings. So definitely would love to connect with each and every one of you. All right, you know what? We should start doing, Jules, and let's bring Jules back very quickly before we go to our next guest. We got to do like online Culture Crew members shout outs, man, because I'm seeing all this great stuff that Culture Crew, I think is the Coroner? Coroner, is your birthday today? I hope. I think she's one of our loyal watchers and followers. So, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. If you're a Virgo woman, happy birthday, man. Oh man, happy birthday. Y'all know, the wife is Virgo, so man, that's a special breed of women. So big shout out to all of the Virgos that have their birthdays today. There it is. All right. Let's go into another part of the conversation, folks. Let's talk about the Human Rights Film Festival that's going to be taking place at Morehouse College all this week. And we're very, very excited to have this conversation, talking to two dynamic sisters who are doing the great work of changing the culture, shifting the narrative around this issue of Black people, Black women, the plight and struggle of Black people and Black women in film and on camera. So we have our special guest, Angela Harmon, who serves as the co-founder of Chromatic Black. And I want to say, make sure I don't want to mispronounce our other guest name, Korsten Van Diva, who serves as the advisor for the Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival. Angela and Korsten, thank you so much for joining us here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. They can join us. All right. Looks like they're going to be, let's make sure we're going to get them in a few moments. But look, first and foremost, hey, Jules, did you get a chance to see Woman King this year as of yet?
I'm going to see it this weekend.
You're going to see it this weekend?
Yeah. I'm going to see it. I saw the, what's so crazy? I saw the, I went to see, months ago, I went to see Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And I was like, you know how you watch the previews. I try to just show up for the movie, because sometimes I don't be caring about previews for other movies. I'm like, if I see it, if it catches my attention, I'll get to it. But I got there early and I saw the preview for Woman King. I was like, bruh, this is about to be epic. Like, this is epic. Like,
let me just say this, man. Now the movie, You know what? And I'm gonna try to pull up some figures for this thing, and then Keenan, we're gonna try to let folks know about this. It grossed $19 million at the box office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it cost $50 million to make.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I need folks to go out and see the film, because even though it was a Black woman director, right, which is a first in terms of a #1 movie for the weekend, you got women that wrote the script.
Mm-hmm.
The leads are all women, right? Of course, and Viola Davis. Big shout out to if you've seen the movie, y'all know John Boyega. He played in the Star Wars. He plays the king in this film. Man, one of my favorite characters outside of Viola Davis's character. But John Boyega, big shout out to him. Really enjoyed seeing him on screen. But the movie made $19 million. Here's why I think, now some people say that's a win, and that's fine. But in the movie making business, if your movie costs $50 million,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to, on that first weekend, first or second weekend, you're trying to recoup that money. You know how it is, Jules. You an artist, you get that advance. Mm-hmm. You got to pay that thing back. You know what I'm saying? So 50 million and 19, you got 19 million, which is cool. But at the end of the day, it's like the movie is so good. It touches on so many themes that it deserves people to go out and see it. And look, unlike what we saw, and even though there was a boycott on the film, there was a huge boycott on the film, because some people say that its depiction of slavery was not true. Some people say that it's, it doesn't provide the right light on all of those things. That's because it showed Black women taking control. One scene was when one of the warriors beating the hell out of a white slave master, killing him. You know what I mean? But the film is not about that. The film showed the other side of the fact that you still had Africans who sold Africans into slavery. I mean, there were just so many films. There were just so many different elements to this film, Jules, that it was just like absolutely amazing. Let me see what we can do. Let's take a quick pause real quick, and then I'll get your take on this, folks. But let's take a quick pause, and then we can come back into the conversation. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. All right, and I'm very excited to have this conversation and talking about the Morehouse College Black Human Rights Film Festival that will be happening all this week. Let's bring in Culture Crew member Jules P., as we will both be having this conversation with our very, very special guest, Angela Harmon, who serves as the co-founder for Chromatic Black. And then we also have joining us Corsten. Corsten is one of the advisors for Morehouse College for the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival. We have Angela and Corsten on.
Oh, how are you? Hello.
Good. Hey, there you are. Hey, hi. Angela, how you feeling?
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time out your schedule to be with us to talk about this major film festival that's going to be happening at one of our coveted HBCUs down in Atlanta, Morehouse College. First and foremost, Angela, let's talk a little bit about the work that you've been doing, because you ain't no lightweight, Angela. You've been doing this work for a long time in various capacities in both TV and film. So talk to us a little bit about your work as the co-founder and how you got to be in that place.
Yes, so I am the co-founder of Chromatic Black, and Chromatic Black is actually a community. We are a collaboration and collection of artist activists. We have about 10,000 folks that claim that hybrid space of really living and walking in, not only artists, but really defining their work around activism. And so me personally, I've been kind of working in the crisscross of film and television for the last 25 years. Started my career working for 40 Acres and Spike Lee, which certainly set the foundation around, telling stories about our folks. And then have kind of worked at the intersection of, unscripted documentary and network television. And so I came together with my partner, Abini Bloodworth, about 3 years ago, and we really wanted to do something about just the lack of interesting or dynamic content. We certainly have some real great work that's happening now, but we wanted to do a little bit more, and we wanted to do a lot more, and really to amplify the voices of these artist activists who wanted to sort of change the world through storytelling and good work. And so we created this organization, this company called Chromatic Black. And Chromatic Black, actually, if you want to know the origin of the name, it's actually a color theory. What we found out is that at the deepest shade of every color is black. And we thought that was really, really, really interesting when you think about like humanity. At the deepest shade of all of us and our humanity is blackness. And so we found ourselves in this place of not only uplifting and amplifying the voices of artists, but also cultural properties. So when we say cultural properties, we talk about things like the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival or the Sea Island Writers Retreat. So cultural properties that, we could walk alongside and scaffold them and build resources so that these institutions in our community can continue to grow. So we are now co-chairs of the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival. We're really excited. There's 110 films to be shown that are not only documentary, but also feature narrative films, love stories, drama. It's all of that, but all around this idea of us all, universally having these human rights. And so we're really excited about the content that will be coming out of the festival and all of the collaborations that will happen as a result. It's people from all over the world. This is an international festival. So we're just really excited to see what happens. We know it's going to be a great weekend or a great week. And we as Chromatic Black, want to continue to support and uplift cultural properties like this.
So first and foremost, Angela, right? Like you got to, because you're doing it real big. Yeah. And I think the mission and the work that you do personally, as well as the work that you're doing through Chromatic Black, is so necessary and so important. And I think that to have a film festival like this on a Black college campus speaks volumes. Yeah. It speaks volumes about the state of the culture, especially within the Black community, where we can have human rights conversations at a historic HBCU in a very, very different way. Because as a student of, I went to school for theater. I love film. So as a student of the arts, a film is so much more. It can be so much more powerful than a lecture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And that's absolutely true, that films come across and it can be seen, and they can, incorporate so many different themes and just bring so much to us for the conversation about human rights. So I'm really excited. And I'm hoping that maybe you and I need to talk offline.
Absolutely. For sure.
We need to figure out how to do this work. I'm in Los Angeles. So, you know what I mean? Like bringing that level of consciousness into a space like into the city of LA, it would be absolutely. And, of course, there's a place for it. We have cultural spaces here in LA that do that. But more importantly, talk to us about like what is the one of the big things, or one of the big I would say goals for this film festival, considering the conversation about Blackness, considering the conversation about cultural appropriation, all of the things that we see cultural. Now we're talking about human rights, which is not just about Black people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things I heard this story from a gentleman in Mississippi. He was about 102 years old. And he talked about, that Black folks are sort of the conscience of this country and really of the world, the African Americans in particular. And so, if you think about us being the conscious, we're not talking about just individual rights. We think about us as the human race, and generally speaking. And so when we think about, this festival, one of the things that was really appealing to us is just when we think about environmental justice, like you've got to talk about Black folks, you got to talk about, the diaspora, you've got to talk about all of these spaces in which, racial capitalism intersects with environmental justice. And so really all of these issues that will be coming up and coming out of the festival are really kind of intersecting. And certainly Black folks are at, in the midst of challenged by and finding solutions and being creative and innovative around like how we can solve some of these human right issues. And so this was absolutely right in line with the work that we do, the work we support. And, we are just, again, so excited also to kind of bring all of these people together.
Yeah.
What I love about bringing creative people together is just all of the partnerships that emerge, and all of the, again, solutions. Like, what are you doing in your city? What are you doing in LA? What am I doing here in Atlanta or New York? And so we love to, again, cross-pollinate ideas so that, again, we can kind of find solutions, find creative ways to manage and handle, the lives that we're leading in this sticky moment that we're living in right now.
Absolutely. And just to throw it out there for folks, y'all can definitely check out all the details about the Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival. Go to the website at MorehouseHumanRightsFilmFestival.com. MorehouseHumanRightsFilmFestival.com. This is the 4th annual Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival. It's scheduled to start tomorrow on the 20th. It runs through the 24th of this week. It's in person. And then from the 20th through the 30th of the next couple of weeks, it's virtual. It's a 5-day event that Chromatic Black is doing in partnership with Rockstar Brothers, Morehouse College. And so it's an opportunity to see films that speaks to our humanity. We're going to take a quick moment, a quick pause, Angela. When we get back, let's bring Corsten into it, who serves as the advisor for Morehouse College. And I want to get some thoughts from our online culture crew, as well as our crew member, Jules P. So we're going to have a lot of robust conversations in a few moments. Folks, stay with us. That discussion is coming up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. Don't go anywhere.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Folks, welcome back to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We have been talking to Angela Harmon, who serves as the co-founder of Chromatic Black. And we are also, as we have been discussing, the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival that will be happening all this week. So if you're down in Atlanta and you're looking for, a great arts and cultural event to attend, make sure y'all stop through the Morehouse College, as they're having this Human Rights Film Festival, a film festival that is highly respected. You will see over 100 films throughout the course of this week. Plus, starting next week, they're going to be doing more. They're going to have a virtual display of films as well, talking about the issues of human rights from the September 20th through the 30th. So this week is in person, the 20th through the 30th are virtual. And this is the 4th year that Morehouse College, along with Chromatic Black and Rockstar Brothers, have come together to make this film festival happen. We want to get your thoughts on this. Make sure y'all join us right now on our streaming platforms on YouTube and Facebook. Post your thoughts and share your comments about, when we're talking about arts and culture, when we're talking about Black films, when we're talking about human rights, like what's the best way for us to understand the importance of having these cultural conversations. All right, I want to bring in my culture crew member, Jules P., as part of this discussion as well. So we're talking to Angela, and I also want to bring in Corsten Van Diver, who is one of the advisors at Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival, to share his thoughts about, what folks should expect over this next couple of weeks. Corsten, thank you so much for joining us, brother. We truly appreciate it.
Hey, a pleasure. Thank you so much. You can call me Course. It's a hard name. So.
Oh, okay. Call you Course. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I get it. I understand hard names. Farajii, people don't, I get it. I definitely get it. Course, talk to us a little bit about this. You were serving as an advisor for this fantastic film festival. What's been the inspiration for you to get involved in a film festival like this, especially at a Black, historically Black college and university like Morehouse?
Yeah, I mean, I started from the beginning as a filmmaker with this festival. So I, had the pleasure of being here since the onset with a couple of films. And, I have a film this year as well. So I sit on the advisory board, but I am also a participating filmmaker. So I love what Morehouse is doing, and what they've accomplished so far is amazing. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm a filmmaker, so I started there, and obviously the idea of human rights and being able to express yourselves artistically and also touch on issues, whether they be within our own community or in other parts of the world, is an amazing opportunity. And last year I was actually named the artivist. I received the Artivism Award, which
wow,
of the year in terms of combining art and activism. And so very, very proud of that.
That's awesome, brother. Well, congratulations on that, Course. That's dope right there, bro.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so when we look at human rights, that could be a broad scope, right? That could be a lot. What are some of the human rights? I would say not issues, but some of the human rights subjects that we're going to see in these films.
I mean, you're going to see a number of different things, whether it's food scarcity, women's rights, obviously police brutality, community issues, gentrification. Sometimes these things are expressed, through love stories. Sometimes these things are expressed maybe with a bit of drama, right?
Yes.
But but there are also, some real life docs and some real life, true stories that'll be in the festival. I know, and I'm sure Angela already spoke about that, but they have a number of projects that they've helped get out into the atmosphere that are pretty amazing. And so, there's a few of those that I'm excited to see as well.
Do you think as a filmmaker we're having enough conversations about human rights and not just Black people rights?
It's an interesting question. You know, I think the thing is a lot of things start with us, right? You know, I remember, I believe it was Martin Luther King who kind of alluded to, once you fix the issues with us, there's kind of a trickle down effect.
Facts.
So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times we know that we have some things that are unresolved and some things that, you know, people are trying to figure out. A lot of artists are trying to figure out a different way to tell the same story, you know? And so, you know, people want to be heard, but I don't think there's ever, how should I say? I don't think there's ever an oversaturation of sharing stories, whether it be ours or, you know, anybody else's, especially when the stories are done well and they're engaging and they can be beautiful, they can be heartbreaking. And so all of these things, I think, you know, make Morehouse especially special. And I've been to a lot of festivals, you know, a lot of festivals. I love a lot of festivals, supported by a lot of fests. Some of the big fests like Sundance. You know, I was a part of Birth of a Nation, the Nate Parker film.
Wow.
You know, and produced on that film and, you know, did a lot of different things. And, you know, I've been, you know, to Urban World, which is a really great fest, and overseas and London, you know, and then
That's
those
awesome,
fests,
bro.
you know, different fests, but, you know, Pan African's another great fest of ours. But I mean, honestly, I have to say this has fast become, to me, one of the greatest festivals that people don't know about yet. And so
that's why, and Angela, that's why we needed to have, I was super excited to have a conversation about this, because Black folks and folks from marginalized communities are making films about issues every day, as they say. You know what I'm saying? We making movies. We bringing topics to awareness to a lot of different topics, and it's like, when, you know, it seems like, and I'm not saying this to throw shade on any of us or our people, but people just don't know. They don't know that the camera, the film is always like transcending. Films can go into spaces that we personally can't get into. So they don't know what's transcending. So when movies like, you know, whether you talk about Black Panther, to your point, Corey, brother, you talked about Birth of a Nation. Everybody was like, "Oh man, this is groundbreaking." You would probably be like, "I mean, it's dope," but there's some other films that should have gotten the same thing. So I guess my question to you, Angela, is how do we kind of broaden the view, because we know what mainstream Hollywood will put out. Right? We understand that when it's a Black Panther, when it's these big budget tentpole type films, we see that. Even with Woman King, and we talked a little bit about that. And Woman King, phenomenal film. I saw it this weekend. Amazing. I loved it. But these films only come out every so often. But films are being produced all the time. And I'm saying groundbreaking films, thought-provoking films are being produced all the time, showing at film festival. How do we open the gates to make sure that our people, starting with our people, are educated and understanding that, no, our stories are being told. We're just not seeing them.
Yeah, I think you raised some really, really important points. You know, that was part of why we wanted to start this company, Chromatic Black. You know, really to think about, you know, this idea of distribution. Is, you know, we can make the films, but where do we place the films? And so for us, you know, it's really been important to create all sorts of opportunities for filmmakers to get their work out. You know, we think that, again, I've been hearing, and I know we all have experienced, you know, oftentimes films are the thing where we really get the truth. You know, the truth has been so, you know, at war. You know, we talk about truth decay, you know. You know, I think about the power of, like, When They See Us, and how that actually influenced, you know, the arrest of, you know, or the taking down, if you will, of a district attorney. And so, you know, the power of film is real. So oftentimes it is the thing that people see and hear before they read the news. And so, like, in terms of getting our voices out, it is our calling, if you will, and that is part of like the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival. Again, whatever opportunities we can create. So we also have the Ida B. Wells Disrupting the Master Narrative Short Film Fund as another mechanism to get filmmakers opportunities to get their films seen, to get distribution, and to have their voices amplified. Through this fund, we honor and award 5 filmmakers, and we walk alongside them. It's a partnership. We know that filmmaking is a difficult process. It's a collaborative process, and so we know that it takes a team to amplify these stories, and so that's part of the work that we want to do.
And it's an important work, Jules. It's an important work, bro, to have this. And again, I'm so pumped. I'm glad that this film festival is on a college campus, because that means that students, and particularly young people, freshmen, and I'm saying from freshmen to seniors, because some seniors are completely, they're not as conscious as some of us would like them to be. But for students to understand the complexity of the world, to get them inspired, to help to spark some level of consciousness in them, it makes all the difference in the world, bro.
I agree 100%. And like, that's like so I always look at it like this. Like, when I think of film, when I think of what I'm viewing, whether it's on, main screen, whether it's on, in the house, whether it's even online, it's like, what's the impact? So y'all were having a conversation earlier. So I actually had thought of a question that I wanted to ask for both of you. So when I was younger, like, me wanting to be in the music business or getting to the music industry, I looked up to the Jay-Z's, the Lil Waynes. And then when I was doing my sports path, it was the Jordans, the Allen Iversons, the Ken Griffey Jr.'s, the Deion Sanders. Like, that's why I looked at to get my inspiration. That's why I looked at to get what I wanted to do with the direction I wanted to go with. So my question to both of y'all is, what actor or actress, or either in film or project, sparked that interest in you to get involved in film to begin with from the jump, even before you got to this stage of dealing with the Human Rights Film Festival? Like, what was that spark? Who was that spark that even got you on that right path to say, oh, this is what I want to do to, take the next step of doing my own type of films?
We can start with you, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Angela say, yeah, start with him, because I got a lot to say.
Well, Angela's my girl, man. I have to shout her out. I didn't say hello, but she's definitely, it's Chromatic Black is awesome. I mean, there was so many things, but I think I have to sum it up to 2 filmmakers in particular. Spike Lee and Malcolm X was kind of the big kind of a push where I was like, wow, I think you can actually do this, because Do the Right Thing and some other films had been made, but it was just kind of like, when Malcolm X came, it was something different, because it was like, it was Malcolm X, it was like, this is going to be on the big screen. And obviously, some of us know the trouble that went with making a film like that, but it was Spike Lee, and it was also Michael Mann's Heat. Watching Michael Mann's Heat, that was a transformative experience for me. It was a very long movie, and I sat in the theater, from beginning to end, and I just couldn't believe what I saw. And between those 2 filmmakers, they've influenced me a lot. And, I've been fortunate enough to get some advice from Spike Lee, started my career early on, and then to reconnect with him later down the line, specifically because of Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival. We got to, hang out and, take a picture together and watch, at the time, American Skin, and, obviously supporting Nate for that release and that project as well. So, and I, at the time, I think American Skin was the only American theater, the only American festival to premiere that movie. So it was really special to see American Skin here in the States with Morehouse.
That's awesome. Angela, what about you, sis?
I'm gonna take it way, way back. I know when I was in high school, I discovered Oscar Micheaux, who was an early pioneer of filmmaking, and I was just inspired by just the impact of, this was at the time of Birth of a Nation, and not Nate's Birth of a Nation, but the other Birth of a Nation. And this Birth of a Nation was almost created because of an Oscar Michaud, because he owned the theaters, he owned the distribution, and he made his own films. And then, of course, I don't want to take away from the women, like Julie Dash, and Daughters of the Dust was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is historical. This is us. And then of course there's Spike. I happen to be lucky enough to go to high school right across the street from his office. And I like to tell a story of he shot Fight the Power right in front of my high school. And so talk about inspiring and inspiration. I was in that video, and so I knew at that point this is what I wanted to do, and kind of had an inside track because I could just walk across the street. So yeah, the power of film is real. And I want to go back to something else you said just about also like something else that's powerful is white supremacy and structural violence. And so that's something that is kind of carried across, is sold across the world. Anti-Blackness is real in every continent on this earth. And so part of what we want to do is that we know that stories have lots of powers. We are the stories that we tell ourselves. So when we can start telling ourselves that we are worthy, we are real, we are here, and we can change the world, then we can start countering all these ways that white supremacy sort of mutate themselves. Itself.
Absolutely. Jules, did she answer your question? Did you get the answers, bro?
Yeah, spot on. Both of them. Like that. Yeah, that's like, because a lot of times, we are looked at as, when we're younger, influence is so pivotal to us, whether it's, from our own households or when it's from the media that we watch, or even the people that were around in school. So it's like, I also think of just from the listener's perspective that are watching the shows, is like, somebody might be having that dream to get into film. And it's like, a lot of times it doesn't have to be the major film or the Hollywood box office film to get your interest sparked or to get your start into the actual production of film. You can go to these festivals. You can, view these movies online and become a part of this media. I mean, because it's all media. You can become a part of this media and get your start and have the same impact. Because again, like the conversation y'all were having earlier, the fact that I love the most is like, it's viewed as now with these different movies and productions, it's like, oh, now our voices are being amplified. It's like, no, we've been talking. Y'all just didn't listen. Like now y'all listening more because we've been telling these stories for 60 years, for 70 years, sharing these experiences. But now with the advent of all the film and the advancements of the cameras and the 4K and the digital realm that we're in, it's like now it's more popping and it comes to you at a faster, quicker pace, and it's now painting a bigger and brighter picture for you to see it. So, I mean, that's just like my take on it, of why I'm so into the film and love it. And then also for them to share their experiences about it, because that's like a great step to get somebody who doesn't even, like, it might not even think to them. They might just think Hollywood is the only place you can do movies at, or, there's so many other avenues that you can join in and do film. And that's what I wanted to get across to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, so I want you to join us in this conversation as we've been talking to Angela Harmon, my brother, Coors the Van Diver, to talking about the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival. It's happening all this week. Go to Morehouse College, Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival.com, the website for this fantastic film festival. Again, if you're in the Atlanta area and you're looking to get in, to check out some cultural things, you don't want to miss this opportunity to see this film festival. I wish I can go. Just to be edified a little bit and to be enlightened. Because when you look on their website, folks, and I'm looking at the flow, I mean, they got over, and Angela said it, over 100 films that will be playing during this film festival all throughout the week, from full-length documentaries to short features to short documentaries. I mean, it is amazing, to even student films It is absolutely amazing. Angela, I want to get your take on this because you've been in the world of Hollywood and you've been doing film work for a long time. Should we as a people, should we put our hopes and aspirations that Hollywood's going to get it when it comes to telling our story? Should we keep going down this line, or are we at a point right now, and this is just, I want to pick your brain, are we at a cultural point where we can say, you know what, let's place our box office dollars elsewhere. Let's create an alternative platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, yes, we have this other thing going on. We could do the black film, we could do black folks in major films, but at this point, we actually got what it takes to sustain our own film system. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question that we think about all the time, and I don't think it's a either or. It's a and also, you know, it takes both. You know, sort of. We know that there are reforms that can be made in Hollywood. We know that things are certainly a little better than they might have been, you know, 25, 50 years ago, maybe. That's an arguable point. But we also know that, you know, generally, like, so let's not even talk about black film, that Hollywood is a system that like is really teetering. You know, I had a conversation with a friend who said, you know, wow, you know, The Woman King made $19 million. Like that was like breaking records. And, you know, compared to maybe 30 years ago, you know, you had to make more than that to be a blockbuster film. But the system is broken. So we know that. And it's due for reform, you know, black film or not. But we also know that, you know, mutual aid has been a part of what black folks have done from the beginning, because we know that, you know, we can't rely on these systems. And we know that we can take care of ourselves. And so while we don't want to fully say that that's, you know, that we should take on this burden by ourselves, we know we can, but the system really needs to be reformed. And it's possible. It may take a long time, but you know, we need to be thinking the inside and outside strategies.
Do we offer our brilliance? Do we offer our talents as writers and filmmakers to even continue to work in that system?
I mean, in my opinion, look, I understand, you know, I don't ever judge. And I think this is something that's really important. I don't ever judge my folks. You know, if you get an opportunity to work at a studio and make a film that you feel invested in and is taking care of you and your family, I think that's okay. As well as, you know, again, let's create our own system. And that's part of what black folks do. We innovate, we create new ways of doing things. And sometimes, you know, the system kind of comes over in our direction and kind of shifts into kind of the innovations that we make. And so I think, you know, as an artist, right, like you never want to dictate what someone should do. I know what we do as Chromatic Black, you know, we are really focused on kind of both the inside and outside, but definitely thinking about how do we create some new systems and some new ways to I guess challenge and to recreate some of the pain points of Hollywood.
Absolutely. Corey, I'm wondering, brother, as a filmmaker, as one who's behind the cameras, you know, what is the true support of the work that you do? What is the expectation of support that you want from the community for the work that you do? Is it just to talk about the film, just to go see the film? Or is there something extra that you want us to do to show that, you know what, we're invested in black filmmaking? We got you on. Are you on mute?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, man, can't be dropping jewels in silence, brother.
I said ultimately, filmmaking, the other side of filmmaking is that it is a business, you know, because it's a business, you know, we really need people to spend their money on our art. You know, I mean, as a person who, you know, has been an artist for years and you know, a filmmaker, full-time filmmaker for years, you know, it's really, it can be really stressful and really tiring to constantly fight for your worth and fight for, you know, your art to be valued.
Yeah.
You know, even, I mean, you could look at Birth of a Nation as an example and see, you know, really how hard Nate Parker worked, and so many other people worked for that film, you know, to come together. And of course, it sold for a ton of money, but, you know, the aftermath, you know, of the box office and what followed, you know, was kind of, it kind of echoed a hardship on a lot of people, you know, in the industry who were associated with that film. And so, you know, at the end of the day, we're always in a position where we want our art to be seen. You know, we want to be able to share, you know, our gifts. But, you know, if there's no funding, if there's no money, you know, being made, you can't keep making it. Making movies is expensive, even the little ones. You know, even
right.
You know, and so it definitely, you know, to Angela's point, you know, it's an and both, or, you know, it's hard to kind of separate and being in the system until we, you know, have a control over, I think, the funding and where the funding goes, and how we dictate our own value. Because, you know, honestly, we're not valued. We're not valued, you know, as much as, you know, white filmmakers, white actors, etc. You know, actresses, you know, female directors, whatever. It's a very different. There's literally a value placed on you, you know, as an artist, and so that's what you fight against.
I can only imagine. Let me get some couple of comments from our online culture crew. Mike V, you checked in and said, look, it's not enough to try and be Black Hollywood. We have to be the disruptors in every industry to tell our own story and chart our own trajectory of progress. Yeah. I think that speaks volumes about it as well. And then Janae checked in. Janae, you said, seriously, $19 million is low due to COVID and monkeypox. People haven't readily accepted going back to the movies prior to COVID, especially when you have people coughing the whole time, but because we back outside. So that's, I think that's very, very true on that point as well. But, you know, again, like, we're looking at the dollars and cents of it. And as we wrapped up this conversation, folks, but we're looking at the dollars and cents of it, which is important. But the fact is, and I know that a little bit behind the backstory of like Birth of the Nation, of course, that Nate had to fight. Y'all had to really, really fight to put it in theaters, into some of these bigger theaters, right? Into the major theaters, fight. Same thing with
fight is an interesting word. I mean, that film was it was really killed, you know what I mean? And so it was more of, we were fighting for people to support that film, but, you know, it just didn't happen, you know.
Absolutely. So, and I think that, you know, some people have said that Viola Davis had to fight to get this film on, you know what I mean? To get this film done. And Angela, guess what? The film is beautiful. The film is fantastic. So, you know, it'd be one thing to fight for it, and then your film comes out, and then people be like, but damn, that's what we fought for.
But, you know, you raise a great point. I just want to say,
yeah,
white directors are given the opportunity to fail all the time.
Oh my God.
Duds. And we don't get that chance to, like, do something that maybe doesn't work out, and you get better. You know, and we all know as creatives, you get better. You do it over and over and over again, and you just get better. And so I think that's a really important point. Like,
huge point.
You can't have a dud. That's all right.
Yeah, no, you really can. I mean, there just is an article released with James Cameron today, and, you know, it was going on about, you know, the complaints with the studio that the studio had. I mean, but this man was given, I think, $5 to $10 billion to make the next few Avatar movies, and he's telling the studio, you know, you can kiss my grits. You know what I mean? And that's that's not a situation that, you know, we're in. You know, we're not in that situation, and we need to be in those kind of situations. You know, ultimately, that's my hope and my prayer. You know, I know it is for Chromatic Black as well, is that we have control of what we're doing, and we make avenues and ways for other artists and other creators to make the things that, you know, the stories that they want to tell.
Absolutely. Well, look, Angela, of course, I appreciate the time that both of you have spent with us today to talk about this amazing film festival. Folks, make sure y'all check this out. Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival happening all this week, the 4th annual film festival. It's going to be in person. Again, if you're in the Atlanta area, come through, be a part of the celebration, be a part of seeing our stories, but more importantly, being part of the conversations about human rights from all around the world. Student films, full-length documentaries, and so many other types of films will be on display. Then on the 20th through the 30th, they will have a virtual presentation of the films as well. So if you want to get more information about all that's going to be happening with Morehouse and films, make sure y'all check out Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival.com. Again, it's Morehouse Human Rights Film Festival.com. Angela Harmon, Cord Van Diver, thank you so much for joining us, brother and sis. We truly, truly appreciate it. Angela, we're going to talk offline, sis. We got to talk offline.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. We appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate y'all. So much. All right, folks. We got a few moments left in today's show. Let's bring my man Jules back real quick as we wrap up just the show here today. Man, Jules. Man, where my day is. My guy, Jules. Man, bro. Like, that's great. Now, speaking of films, Jules, you're an artist. I want to get your take on this. Keenan, can we just show this this trailer? Because I had to show this, because when I saw this over the weekend, I was like, I got to throw this out here on the culture, baby. We all Whitney Houston fans.
For sure.
Whitney Houston fans. Where my Whitney Houston fans in my online culture crew? Well, did y'all know a major biopic has been made about our sister and her life and the way that she has impacted the culture? Take a look. Just let me know, Keenan, if we got that trailer. And Keenan, go ahead and let's play the new biopic that's going to be coming out, focused on the iconic Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Take a look at this.
Special guest in the audience tonight, legendary record executive, Mr. Clive Davis.
My voice is gone. What? You start the show tonight. No talking back. I'm your mother.
There's a boy I know. He's the one I dream of.
What's your name again?
Whitney Elizabeth Houston.
Wait, y'all, it's on. It's on. Listen. If he really loves me.
My dream, sing what I want to sing, be how I want to be.
I say a prayer with every heartbeat.
Reach as big an audience as I can.
A common criticism of your music isn't black enough.
Look, I don't know how to sing black, and I don't know how to sing white either. I know how to sing.
I might have just heard the greatest voice of her generation.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's got to have a hook.
A hook?
Yeah.
I'll give it a hook.
Well, Jules.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What you think, Jules?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
What you think, bro?
The preview has me. The story is the most impactful, and the key moment is, I don't make black music. I don't make white music. I make music. And I've been saying that my whole career. I don't cater to anything that needs to be catered to. I just rap. I just do my music. I do my artistry. And you take it with the grain of salt that I give it to you with.
There it is. Well, this official biopic is headed to theaters this December, folks, December 2022. So this is before the holiday season. It was executive produced by Clive Davis, who you saw in the film. This is the man that discovered Whitney Houston. He's played by Stanley Tucci, and it's executive produced also by Pat Houston. And the star is Naomi Aki. She's the late superstar alongside Ashton Sanders, who's going to be playing Bobby Brown. Clark Peters as John Houston, Whitney's father, and Tamara Tooney as Cissy Houston. And according to the film description, it's described as a no-holds-barred portrait of the complex and multifaceted woman behind the voice. And it was written by Anthony McCartan, who wrote this. If anybody never seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody about the group Queen, where man, that was a dope film. I ain't know nothing about Queen. I'm gonna tell y'all something, but that was a great film. And so they're claiming that this film will be the film that will show us the Whitney that we never knew. I want to get some thoughts real quick on this right here. Ming Lee, you checked in and said Miss Houston was the GOAT. No doubt about it.
Big facts.
Coroner, you checked in and said this actually looks good. That Lifetime movie was beyond terrible. Yes, beyond terrible. And it wasn't about Whitney. It was about Whitney and Bobby's relationship only. Shaking my head. Absolutely. Yep, I agree. Nisa, you said it looks amazing and felt authentic. I'm here for it. Here's the thing about it, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, Jules. The fact is that this is being put out by Sony Pictures. Having her real music, access to the real music. If you're going to do a biopic about a singer, you might want to get permission to actually use the singer's work. That makes all the difference. But it is going to be interesting. Now, I did a little research, and I found that Angela Bassett actually did a story about a movie about Whitney Houston. She directed one about Whitney Houston, maybe back in like 2015. But guess what? It just didn't break it just didn't happen like that. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this movie is going to play out. But it speaks volumes. We were just talking about Black films and telling our story. I really am going to be interested, to your point, Jules, to see how Sony plays this thing out. What do you think? You think they're going to put this in the right perspective? Because this is by Clive Davis, and Clive is a record guy. He's been in the business for a very long time. But what's your take on it? You think the story is going to be accurate?
Yeah, it has to be, because again, we don't need the drama and the nonsense to be like I talked about the Lifetime movie. That doesn't need to be the basis. Her career, her stardom, her fame, her rise to stardom and fame, needs to be the story. So I think they're going to do it right. I 100%. Like you said, getting the rights to the music is the most. Let me say this again to all people doing films and biopics based on artists and artistry. Getting the rights of their music is the most important part. We just talked about this conversation a couple weeks ago, where they do a whole Mike Tyson documentary without Mike Tyson. Like, you kind of want to use the actual resources of the person you're doing the biopic and documentary on. Just saying.
Oh, let me throw it. Facts. That's a big fact right there. Big fact. So we will see. We will see if this Whitney Houston movie is going to do it. Folks, again, it's called I Want to Dance with Somebody. That was your first look here on The Culture, and we will certainly see how it do. All right, Jules, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for checking in, man. As always, holding down Mondays. Done an excellent job. Thank you so much, bro. And God willing, man, we'll be back to see each other on Monday of next week.
Yes, sir.
Don't work too hard, Jules. We know how you go workaholic style, so don't work too hard.
It's impossible.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. I thank each and every one of you. Big shout out to my team, man. King Keenan, Ariel, thank you so much. Joel, thank you so much for continuing to work with us as we try to make all of this happen. My control room, thank you. I want to thank all of them for doing the great work they do each and every day to make the culture and the Black Star Network the powerful force that it is slowly becoming. And I cannot thank you enough for your continued support for my online culture crew. Thank you. Make sure y'all support us at blackstarnetwork.com. Go to our website, download the app, do all the things that you need to do to show that you are serious about supporting Black-owned media. Check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. Support us financially. Continue to share the content. And let's make this the premier voice for Black folks telling our story, pleading our case in the digital space. blackstarnetwork.com. Also, make sure y'all follow me on all of my social media. I'm getting a couple of new followers here and there. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at The Real Farajii. You can follow me on Twitter at Farajii, and on Facebook at Farajii Muhammad. I truly appreciate it. And I appreciate each and every one of you for having the conversations with me. Follow me, follow Black Star Network, follow Roland Martin, all of those. And let's just keep things rock and rolling. Let's keep the conversation going. All right, folks, speaking of Brother Roland, stay tuned at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can check out RMU right here on the Black Star Network. But as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.